What is up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another deck showcase video for you. If you remember, the last one was with the old beta cards, so this one is the first one with the new updated set of cards, mainly about Netrunner control, focus on programs. You'll see the gist when we get to that. But first off, we have a couple updates since my last video to go over. First being update number 48 on the Kickstarter. As I said on Twitter, and as I'll be referencing a lot, it's a little bit of a nothing burger. Just mainly showcasing the better accessibility. And there's also a new Cyberpunk podcast episode and a new survey on the Kickstarter updates as well that I'd recommend you go fill it out. It's mainly focusing on pre-release events. So if you want a say in that, then go and fill that one out. Also, we have the dev blog about visual accessibility, how we're making sure Night City is open to all. Basically, just kind of about the different symbols of the different colors. Yeah. I mean, I don't exactly know how, if you're blind, if like the etching is different. Because I don't go over it there, but if you are deaf or hearing impaired, then this is a article kind of going over, well, like what they're doing to help you with that, and then also color blindness as well. Also, something that I came across on the Discord, a user, Bed52, asked about a deck building website, and Weirdco Kawa said that they'll have an official deck builder on their website closer to the time of launch. So just something kind of cool that I thought I would share with you all here, because at least personally, I've just been using a Google Docs sheet and then just kind of penciling out the stats or using a calculator. So a official deck builder is, or at least should be, pretty nice. And then also they've revealed 3 new cards. First one being Bootleg Black Sapphire Show. If you are on Twitter and you follow mine, I post my thoughts about them same day. In fact, just a couple hours after typically. But this one is a 5-cost brain dance. It is a program, obviously, as a brain dance has to be. It is 4 yellow rams, so you'll need to be playing 2 yellow legends. And it just says, sell the top card of your deck. If you control a gig with an even value and a gig with an odd value, then you get to draw 2 cards. I do like this in general. I definitely think you should have at least a unit on the field before you play this. The draw 2 is also pretty nice. And yeah, I mean, it's fine, well enough, especially if you're going to be running like I don't even know what you'd call it, a program. No, it's in the title, a Netrunner type deck. Or if you're just trying to kind of ramp out to Atom Smasher and relying on that towards the end. But in general, it's a good card, and I can definitely see this one seeing a fair amount of use. Another card they revealed is the Atom Smasher Legend, Ender of Legends. He is a 9-cost Go Solo legend, provides the 2 red ram, has 9 power, and his play ability is defeat a rival unit. Personally, I am not the biggest fan of this card. I think it's pretty underpowered compared to like Placide, for example, because if you take Placide is an 8-costed 10 power unit. Also has 2 blue rams, so you only need to be playing a blue legend to be able to play him. And his play and attack ability is discard a program, bottom deck a rival unit. And I mean, I look at Atom Smasher, he costs 1 more just to play out on the battlefield too. It's 1 to flip, so really it's 10 to play him. He has 1 less power than Placide. You're also losing an Eddie the second you play him, because he's not in your legend zone anymore. and then he only has the play trigger of defeat a rival unit. If it was like play and attack, defeat a rival unit, then it'd be better. If he had a base 10 power, then it would also be better. But I'm still just not too high on this card. If it was like play, defeat 3 units, that would be crazy. Maybe that would be too strong, but even if it's play, defeat 2 units, and then like attack, maybe you sack a unit on your side, and then, or defeat one of your units, defeat one of your opponent's units. That could be pretty good. But in its current state, I am not a big fan of this legend, unfortunately, because I would like my Atom Smasher legends to feel cool, and this one just kind of undersells it for me. But if you like it, perfectly fine. I ain't trying to yuck your yum, you know? You can play what you want. But the third card that was revealed just earlier today is Take Control. It's another program. It is a green one with only 2 green rams, so you only need to be playing 1 green legend to play this card. It is 2 cost. It's a quick hack, meaning it has quick. And the quick ability is a rival unit steals 1 fewer gig this turn. If that unit is an AI, drone, or vehicle, you get to draw a card. I'm not too certain that the draw ability is going to generally trigger that much, but even that being said, it's still a good card. I personally think it's worth it. Definitely worse than like a Bombus or a Corpo Security, because it's only a one-time effect, whereas the others can be bigger. And then also, say your opponent is attacking with a Placide, you can redirect the attack entirely to the Bombus, at least to my understanding, and cancel that out. Whereas if your opponent has a unit over 10 power, this only decreases the amount of gigs it steals by 1. But still good in the early game, still good in the late game. And it's also harder to interact with because it's a program. There's no semblance of program counters right now. So that's also a big thing. Whereas if you play out your Bombus or your Corpo Security, it's just there, and your opponent can play like an Atom Smasher, for example, and defeat it if they really wanted to. Whereas they can't quite do that for this card. So also pretty good. 2 is all pretty cheap as well, and like every program at worst you can sell it. I'd say this is the one that I'm the biggest on, or that I hold the highest out of the 3. But all of them are at least kind of okay. But moving on to the actual deck now. First off, we have to go over the general game plan, get a kind of picture of the deck before we get out the specifics of the cards. The first point is to slow down the opponents as much as possible early on, and then you will want to keep drawing cards with programs, units, and gear. Get as many minimum gigs as possible with programs or gear as well. Cheat out a program with alt, attack with a Ganger or Corpo unit to ready alt with Evelyn, and then repeat. When you run out of gas, you can just replay all the programs in the trash pile, and then keep gunking up the opponent's system, take care of their units by various methods, and go on to win the game. Now, headlining this deck, obviously, are 3 legends. First off, I have River Ward, Detective on the Hunt. He is a yellow legend, 1 to flip, and then he also has the quick ability to spend him and play a gear with cost 2 or less from your hand for free. And I will be honest, that is not particularly ability that is too exploited by the deck. And then also he has the passive ability of when a friendly equipped unit is defeated, search the top 2 cards of your deck and trash 1. Mainly he's just there for that kind of surveil ability, and then to provide a bit of yellow as well. Although admittedly, you could still play, say, Victor Vector over River, and the deck would still kind of function about the same. that being to round out your curve, but personally, I think River provides more utility to this deck in this variation of it right now. But as you saw earlier, and as mentioned in the game plan, we have Alt Cunningham Soul Killer Architect, just the one to flip. And then you can spend Alt, and your next program this turn plays for 1 eddy less for each friendly minimum gig, to a minimum of at least 1 eddy to play the program. And then you can pay an eddy and spend Alt to play a program from your trash, bottom deck it after you play it, and then you still pay its cost as well. So pretty much pay an eddy, tap Alt to give it flashback. And then as with flashback in Magic the Gathering, you still have to pay its cost to play it from the trash pile. And then rounding out the legends, we have Evelyn Parker, Beautiful Enigma. I will say initially I was a bit harsh on this legend, and I've definitely come around to her. She's just the one to flip, and then when a friendly Corpo or Ganger unit seals 1 or more gigs, ready and eddy, then it is 1 eddy and tap her, or spend her, rather, sorry. Still trying to get that lingo down in my head. And then a rival unit must attack next turn if it can. So pretty good for like kind of bringing out some blockers, or if they have, say, a carry Uridine, or just any small units kind of more focused on generating value. It's a bit easier to clear them, or just a blocker that can also attack, also good to clear them. But mainly you're going to be playing her for the ability of whenever a friendly Corpo or Ganger unit steals 1 or more gigs, you ready and eddy. That particularly being Alt Cunningham, so you can maximize your shenanigans with her. Altogether, you have 4 blue RAM and 2 yellow RAM to mess around with all the other cards in the actual deck. But the most prominent is the units, because you need the Corpo and Ganger units to really set this whole plan in motion at all. Starting off, we have Secondhand Bombus, who is a 2-cost unit for the 0. Mainly this is in here just to buy you some time early game, or just help you with the gigs late game, and just play as a blocker. Nothing too complicated about its inclusion. Next, though, we have Off-Duty Malfini. This card is also great in the early game for gunking up your opponent, because its playability is spend this unit and a rival unit, which is very nice for tapping down an attacker possibly, or just a blocker. It also has the 5 power and is a Ganger, which is very nice because it can also clear the way for another Ganger to swing in and steal a gig and get the cycle started. Also, we have 2 copies of Hanako Arasaka and a Gilded Cage. This is mainly just to search your deck for programs. And then we also have 3 copies of Caliber Tontanz's Top Dog. Its playability lets you defeat a rival unit with cost 2 or less. So blockers, particularly anything kind of small. And then the defeat trigger is also making the rival discard, which is generally going to be good. Also a Gainer, but I will say, as more and more cards come out, Caliber is definitely high up on the totem pole of cards to be cut first. But for right now, and all that we have access to right now, it's not too bad in the deck. But we also have 4 other units. First off, we have the Flathead. This is mainly just to be a little reliable way for you to get gigs back and kind of help you buy enough time for you to really set up your board and get your game plan in motion. But also, because you're going to be focusing on playing your programs, you're going to need to be able to sell some things. And it being sellable is also pretty nice when you're trying to round out that curve, knowing you're going to be playing a bunch of programs. We also have Maman Brigitte, the Spirit of Death. Mainly this is to buy you a little more time as well. And then just kind of be a decent little attacker trying to steal some gigs. We also have 3 copies of Jackie Wells' Ride or Die Chum. This is pretty much just going to be a strong unit to be on the board. Very much just a good card to be included in the deck, because he is the strongest unit out as of right now. So also, if you can make your opponent force destroying Jackie for its potential, a lot of your gigs, at least you want them to be at the minimum value. And the minimum value of each gig is going to be 1. So you'll typically be drawing a fair amount, or at least if you're going according to plan, you should be drawing at least a decent amount off of Jackie's death. But moving on to the last unit, we have Placide. Just a very good Ganger unit, probably one of the best units as well. 8 cost to play, so this is just going to be on the tail end. 10 power, and its play and attack ability is discard a program if you do bottom deck arrival unit. Also, you're going to want to be drawing a lot of programs, and you can play them from the trash. So discarding them to bottom deck a unit, spending alt to replay them, isn't exactly the worst combo you can have. But moving on to the gear side of things, we only have 2. First, we have Mandibular Upgrade, which is a blocker giver again, really just to help you kind of pad out your timing, let you get everything set up. And then we also have the Zeta Tech Faceplate. When this unit or legend is spent, adjust a gig by up to 1. Then if you control 3 or more gigs with different values, draw 1. Typically, you're just going to want to attach this to Alt Cunningham, because you're going to want to be tapping her as much as possible each of your turns. And this is just a when this unit or legend is spent. So every single time you're tapping Alt, you're going to be adjusting gigs. You're either going to be drawing, or you can manipulate your opponent's gigs if they really focus on that. And this is just generally one of the better synergies in the deck with Alt as well. And then moving on to the programs. First off, we have After Party at Lizzie's. It is 1 cost, and you get to adjust a gig by up to 1. If you control 2 or more gigs with different values, you get to draw 1. Not the strongest, but it is still a decent program for getting you to draw through the deck and adjusting your gigs, which is also pretty good. We also have Floor It, which is another 1 cost program. It is a quick hack, and its quick is give a rival unit 1 less power this turn, draw 1. So also kind of draw into your deck. Also, the -1 power, just generally pretty good. Could also make like a enemy blocker just low enough to the point where they'll have like 0 power, or where you'll defeat them, which is pretty nice. We also have Chrome Reverie, 3 cost program. A rival unit can't attack until your next turn. If you control a minimum gig, you may call a legend for free. You're already going to be wanting minimum gigs, and then a rival unit not being able to attack until your next turn is also going to buy you some time. Then we also have Cyber Psychosis. So it's quick, give an equipped unit +3 power this turn for each of its equipped gears. If that unit steals or fights, defeat it at the end of this turn. That is the full deck. Going into the deck stats. Total cards, we have 40. Total units, 22. Corpo and Ganger units specifically, as they're needed for Evelyn, is 13. So you have pretty much a 33% chance in drawing one, which is pretty good. The total gear is 6, and they are all cyberware. Total programs are 12, and 6 of them are brain dances. Main weaknesses I could see with the deck is smoothing out its curve. There are also not a lot of programs revealed right now, so this is definitely a bit of a early bird kind of first version of the deck. Definitely going to be and will need to be improved in the future to be competitive. And I'll definitely revisit this sometime down the line. This is just kind of giving you an example of some decks, kind of some ideas, throwing them out there. And yeah, maybe you see this and maybe you make your own deck. And that's really what this is kind of about, to just show you my thought process and kind of my ideas, bounce them off the community, and see what you guys come up with. Because just this is going to be really fun to see kind of how the community just really defines the meta, like, and how everything develops as more and more cards come out. But most importantly, in general, with the Cyberpunk TCG and this deck, is to have fun, because it is a game after all, and that is what you should be doing when you're playing a game, having fun. But that is it. I would like to thank you for watching to the end of this video. I unfortunately am going to be going on a 5-ish day break. I'm going out with a friend to celebrate their birthday, and we're basically just gonna be hanging out and chilling at the beach for about the next 5 days. I'll still have some time to work and definitely be working on a video, which I've posted about on Twitter. It is going over how bans should work in the Cyberpunk TCG. Should there be bans? Just about that in general. And if you have any kind of thoughts or feedback, then responding to that Twitter post would be very helpful. And it also helps me get some community feedback as well, so it's not just me and Google Docs kind of coming up with our own little echo chamber of thought. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. Once again, thank you for watching to the end if you have done so. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Peace out, chums. Ciao.